Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Tuesday afternoon, July 28th. We're looking at the last 2 days of the SPY ETF's market profile here on Window Trader. And pretty much we've traded basically how I thought we would the last 2 days, only because we have so much coming up starting tomorrow that I didn't think this market would attempt to do much either way prior to that. I'm a little surprised at how much we sold off late in the day, but L&M do their own thing. We can go back through this profile and show you how many times L&M did their dance, and then the next day it meant nothing. We do go out with a price probe to the downside. However, our POC was raised twice, ends up 10 wide, and it never could be lowered. Value ends unchanged. We overlapped yesterday's high and yesterday's low. We had a chance, believe it or not, for a trend, not for a trend day, for an outside day down, but we couldn't even get yesterday's low. We just missed it, let alone close below it. We had an awesome day in the trading room because these algos and the short-term traders have been very predictable to read. I never say easy, because trading is never easy, ever. But they were more predictable today, which gave us some really good trading opportunities. We traded back and forth through the opening before we didn't see it again until, lo and behold, L&M when they did their dance. We saw buyers get too long to give it up. We saw buyers get too long to give it up. And then finally, L&M just did their own thing. And my bias actually, before L really did that, was I was pretty impressed at how we held up here. I thought maybe we'd have a chance for possibly taking out the highs rather than the lows. But even though I thought that, my trading totally adapted, because when we popped up at one point in M, took a 30-lot put that I ended up making on some of it 60 cents. I didn't take a position over 30 contracts today. Maybe I did a 40, but I don't think so, 30. I was not in the red at any point as they all went, very fortunately, in my way. And I didn't take a lot of trades, but had an excellent day on just small trades that worked out. And the funny thing was, talking in the room, because up here I was incredibly convinced that longs were not getting much for their efforts. We got into the single prints, just like we got into that huge gap a little bit. We got into that large set of single prints by 5 cents. And then look what we did the last 2 hours of the day. Not even, forget the last 2 hours, the last hour and a half. Flushed it out. And I was incredibly convinced that we would flush, but I certainly, by no means, would ever tell you that I expected this, because I didn't. I expected to flush. I even said in the room at the time, I was looking for value low and the opening. At the time, they were all together. Half back, value low, and the opener all together. I said I expected that. And I actually kidded with somebody in the room saying, wow, can you imagine instead of taking 30 or 40, I took 500 contracts up here? I was never in danger in K period. We were looking at it. At one point, I could have made easily 60 cents. It's $30,000. Now, I'm not gonna hold it for that whole time. I can assure you of that. And I have taken positions of that long. And then I can't imagine, I didn't even look to see where it was trading down here. But it is possible when you know your competition, you know yourself, and you take the right trades. So my trades today, in A period, I took a short. I took a 324 put. As soon as we got up, remember I said this morning's video, if we get up to C and M's, C's high, M's low, I'm going to take a put play. Why? Because where there should be buyers from yesterday at L's high, if we don't get accepted into M, we should roll over. That's exactly what happened. Took the put, rolled over right away. Nice trade. B period. As soon as we got below the opening, took another put trade. Went down. Very nice. Again, this is all based on market-generated information. D period. I said I'm going to fade a new high, right? We made the new high in C, nothing out of it. Well, I faded the new high in D. The 320. Now, the first two puts were 324s that expire tomorrow. D's was a 325 put. Faded that for a nice trade. E, same thing, folks. Went up, waited for it to pop, get up to yesterday's high, faded it. Back to POC. Very nice trade. The only long I took was in G. So we went down in went down in F. G couldn't take out F's low. I'm like, well, maybe that's the afternoon pullback low. So I bought the 321 calls, wrote it back to POC. That was a nice trade. That was my only long. And then I took the short in I. I shorted it a couple of times, added on to it in K period. So I faded I, came in, took off, went back up in J, added, came back, took off, went back up in K, added, took it off at mostly POC. So even though I counted as one trade, it was over basically a 3 time frame period, and it worked out beautifully. And then in M period, and the reason I didn't hold on in L and M, because like I said, I didn't think we were going to get to those points. So that's why I took off the rest of it. I had small left when we finally got down, when we got to POC and everything. And then I was looking for a long in L period because I thought we would hold the opening, half back, and value low. Now, guess what? It didn't happen, and I didn't take the long. So I didn't get hurt. And then in M, came back up, looking for it to take out the day's low, did it, and made nice on that trade. So I had a very good day. Not a lot of size I played with. And on these type of days, that's what you play with, and it worked out beautifully. And the room did incredibly well. Incredibly well, because it's great when you, not only me, there's a lot of excellent traders in my trading room, and with their knowledge, with them chiming in and helping the newer traders, and there's a lot of new traders in there also, and learning the profile, it worked out beautifully today. All right, destinations. So the first one will be A's low of 321.31 because that's the price probe low. We closed just below it. Then we have 10 wide. We couldn't lower it. All the way up at 322.95, so $1.64 higher. So that's why this leads me to believe, well, I'll get into that in a minute. We'll see how much M period means. 323.64 today's high. Single prints 320. I have the wrong price. No, that's right. 323.64. Then the single prints of 323.65. I wrote it wrong. I apologize. Get filled at 324.65, so 100 ticks on the nose. And then the weekly high of 327.23, filling the gap at 332.58, 535-point gap. Downside, 320.85. That is today's low. 320.78, yesterday's low. 320.60, 11 wide POC, and then a real important one, 319.25 weekly low, and then 319.09 daily low, poor low below that. And then 317.67 price probe from the 14th. Now, you can hear the thunderstorm in the background. It's been rumbling for a while without anything happening. Here's what, before I get to the charts, here's what I think might happen tomorrow morning. One of two things is going to happen. L&M have a mind of their own. So not only were these week longs getting out, these were also shorts that just kept pushing. So tomorrow, if we open inside M period and the price probe's rejected, well, then these people who are shorting are going to get frustrated and probably give it up, and we trade M period's range. Okay? That's one scenario. Remember, there's nothing really until POC after that. The other scenario is we open below the price probe, it's accepted, and all these shorts get more and more emboldened. Well, we have 3 destinations that are very, very visual. Yesterday's low, Monday's low, and that POC. So if we take out yesterday's low, these 3 things are going in a heartbeat. Now, the next thing is last week's low, which would stop the one-time framing up in the weekly. That'd be very interesting if we can get it. If we do, well then quite simply, that 10-day balance low of 319.09, which is right below that, is going to probably be tested and a poor low. If they do that, the question is how much do they want to do before, and I'm talking before the Fed speaks. This is all before 2 p.m. So we're either going to trade M's range because the shorts were weak, or the shorts are going to get this accepted and test last week's low and possibly take it out and test the bottom of a 10-day balance. Now, I have seen trend days on Fed Day before 2 p.m., but I have never, ever seen a trend day hold prior to the Fed speaking. Now, we've gone trend after that. So in other words, what I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if they try to force this down and have a trend day down, but I think it gets taken back before 2 p.m. if that happens. And then after that, it's a wild card. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, let's go to the charts. So with 3 days to go in the month, we're one time framing up for 3 months. However, we are back inside last month's range. You'd like to close above that. Weekly, again, not only are we inside last month's high, we're inside an 8-week balance, right? So again, the way we had an ugly close last week, look at this after 2 days. Now it's only 2 days, and 2 days do not make a week. And I still firmly believe we're going to get a very big move by Friday's close. We're going to either see 330 inside this gap and possibly closing it, or we're going to see this weekly low taken out and possibly these 2 weekly lows taken out at the 310 level. That's my guess. And then on the daily, it's a 10-day balance, same scenario, where do we stretch the 10-day balance tomorrow to the downside prior to the Fed speaking? Possibly. I don't think we see it stretched to the upside. And the reason for that, and I hate to keep going back, and I know this video is a little longer, but I think it's important. Let's go to the profile again. I was talking in my room. It's like people, talking about sports in a bar and arguing. Well, picture a bunch of people arguing about the market the last 2 days. The sellers are going to say, that's pathetic. All you could do is get into the lower distribution from Thursday, and that's it. And the buyers are going to say, well, you're just as pathetic because after Thursday and Friday's push, you can't even take out Friday's low both days, which is right here, or that poor low right below that. Well, who's right? They could both claim victory, right? So at some point, somebody's going to be, I believe, very, very right and very, very wrong, because I don't think by Friday's close we're going to be trading at this level anymore. Anyway, I hope you had a great day trading. We had a great day in CamelbackTrading.org's trading room. Come check us out. Have a great night, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.